Singapore right now. I'm up on the 56th floor of the Swiss Hotel, and just looking out here, these buildings here were not here just a few years ago. It was looking pretty much like down there where you can see the grass right there, and you can see over here is Raffles Hotel, just right behind there, which is at the moment in renovation as well. And it really made me think, as I was looking at these buildings here, just how much there's a metaphor here about how to go out, make an impact, and why you'd even want to do it in the first place. So we have just created the Impact Meter. I just came back from Brisbane where we ran something called the Entrepreneur Fast Track. There is a super announcement at the end of this video about what's going to be happening in 2018 with our events, where we're talking about how do you multiply your impact, like from one customer to 10 to 100 to 1,000, like 10 times every single step, so that between like the first and sixth step you get up to 1 million customers and you have 1 million times the impact. And if you look at this building over here, this building is around 50 stories tall, and the buildings down there are only a few stories tall, and you can see there's actually some 0 stories as well. And if you were to think of impact being like on like every square meter, right down there, what's the impact? Was pretty much 0 because there's nothing there. What's the impact when you actually have got like one person standing? It's like, well, one person. You have it when you have like one of those colonial buildings down there, where now you've actually got the ability to double, triple your impact by having a few stories. Or here, like where you've got 50 stories, you're having 50 times the impact on the same 1 square meter. And you're actually talking about impact being physical impact. Well, what's really powerful about that concept is, think for a moment that if you were the person who owned that 1 square meter down there, right? Like the property developer. And obviously that means you're going to be able to generate an awful lot more profit, because every single one of those floors up there, you're actually charging by the square meter as you go as well. And so it actually relates directly to wealth. But at the same time, obviously, if you think about it in terms of gravity and the material load on that 1 square meter, there's a massive amount of impact as well, going right down into that square meter below that, every square meter below that building as well. Now, here's the key to that. If this was not just some solid land down here, like everything you see here, but think of it like a sponge. Think of it like a mattress, right? And like think of every single one of these buildings being on this mattress. Obviously, the ones that have higher impact will create a far bigger dent as well. That whole idea of making a stand for something, if you were the person making 100 times the impact, you would have that same ability to actually create more gravity in that space. And if you think about the dent you'd make, and this is what we mean by building an identity, you build a dent in that one spot, and then we were to drop a whole bunch of little marbles, or even people that started rolling around, like little people, right? So all the little like cars and things down there. Imagine there's little marbles, which are the teeny weeny people there. And what every one of them was doing was just rolling to wherever there was the biggest dent. Well, of course, they would all get attracted to wherever there was the greatest impact. So if you were the person making 100 times the impact, you'd be getting 100 times the actual attraction of things around you. And if you were the person having no impact at all, do not be surprised if you do not have anyone getting attracted to you, because guess where they're all getting rolling to? They're all rolling off to wherever they're going to have the biggest impact as well. Now, that analogy, you might be thinking, well, it's taking a bit too far, but just think about this for a moment. If you thought of that mattress as trust, that what we're all sitting on as humans is a layer of trust, and every one of us has the ability to build and have a higher impact on trust on the people around us, such that they come back again and again, such that they tell their friends. And at the same time, that trust, by creating that gravity, that gravity and the trust all around us, that when you actually have someone rolling towards you, they're not rolling to someone else, and vice versa. That's really how all of us today make decisions to decide what we're going to do or not do with our time. We think, well, where could I actually trust most that I'm going to actually get the highest value at that time? Or where we don't actually provide referrals or give our resources or spend our money. It's all again about where is it that I actually trust most. I'm actually going to be able to have an impact on that as well. So there's 2 things. The first one is, how do you do it? How do you actually become like that massive 50-story building where you're having that kind of an impact? And I'm talking about a negative impact on the environment. I'm talking about a positive impact on the trust and the people around you. Well, the first thing is by realizing that every single one of those rooms down below is supporting something higher up. So making a stand is not just saying I stand for something. It's saying, well, who am I actually supporting by making this stand? Who else might be making the same stand, or who else might I be serving by making the stand in such a way that it's almost like I feel them, I'm carrying them on my shoulders, that I actually care as much about their challenge, if not more about their challenge than even they do. And the more you start thinking, not just what am I making a stand for instead of running around everywhere, what am I making a stand for by staying in one place, and then how many people am I actually supporting by being in this one place, by making the stand, that's how you actually go about building an impact. And there's ways to go about multiplying it, 10 times 10 times 10, which I'll get to in a moment. And then the second thing is realizing that just by actually making that impact, it allows you to create all the attraction you want, because we really are living in a sea of trust. And by understanding that, we can start realizing why some of us don't attract what we want while others do. We haven't yet got to a point where we're really, truly making a stand for something. How do you know what it is that you should be making a stand for? As that saying goes, until you know what you will die for, you do not yet know what you will live for, right? This whole idea that every one of us has that ability to actually make a stand for something which is so important for us is our reason for being. So with that being shared, with this beautiful view from up here, let you in on one of the most important things now going forward into 2018, which is that we are going to be running a series of Entrepreneur Fast Tracks through next year. You'll see the calendar is going to be coming up, but I'm going to be in January for these afternoon events, 2 events in England. One is going to be up in the north of England in Preston, and the other one is going to be in London. I hope to see you there, so follow the links below and come along and see how the impact meter actually works to take your business from whatever it is right now to 10 times the size, by understanding that there are 5 key components you need to focus at to make that happen. I'll explain all about that at the actual event. So just follow the link. I'd love to see you there. And otherwise, have a fabulous 2018. And if you were to think of one thing as you're going into this new year, is what is it that you would love to 10 times your impact?